Gold and silver have been manipulated and has been identified who was manipulated. Banks in Europe, and it's just appalling that you read in a paper for years that there is manipulation. There is manipulation, and nothing happens to stop it.
Hey friends, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm extremely excited to have a new guest on the program. You know, we've talked to some heavy hitters in the precious metal space in the past. Right now I have on the line Joseph Grosso. He's the president, CEO, and chairman of Golden Arrow Resources Corporation. This is a mining veteran. This is somebody who is responsible for discovering one of the biggest, if not the biggest, silver deposits in history. And Joseph is here right now. How are you, sir?
Sean, I'm great. I'm great too, and I want to, first of all, thank you for giving me honor of an interview, and must agree with you that I am a veteran, and with the title of veteran comes an age, and I don't know that I like that. But anyway, we're still pretty energetic, and we're going forward since 1993 in Argentina. And pertaining to your question, I think your listener do know that any discovery of any kind is pretty rare. And if you take, that takes an average of 1,000 properties being reviewed and explored, either at the table or physically in the field, and you find one. So we have a real record that we have discovered the three major deposit, one in gold, which is in 1998, which is in the province of San Juan, and owned and managed it by Yamana. And then the second discovery was in 2004, and because we discovered it just at the week of Christmas, we give it the name of Navidad. Navidad is one of the pure silver mine, which has 1.1 billion ounces of silver, high grade. It's now owned by Ross Beatty, Pan American, who I am told that they're putting about $4 billion in order to put it in production. Wow. Sometime in a very near future. The third one, we are tackling it ourselves. We're tackling Chinchilla silver, which is a real sprawling new discovery done in 2012, and it's growing at an incredible rate. And so, to specifically answer your question, these are my discovery, and I'm really amazed that after 23 years of looking at least at 2,500 to 3,000 properties that we have visited, other discarded at the table or visited physically and done exploration in Argentina. And so this is how rare it is in finding a discovery. So Chinchilla is a new baby that has a chance to grow sizably.
Well, you know, you made reference to your age earlier, and as you know, with age comes wisdom. That's something I've learned over the decades. I've got 4 kids, and I'm trying to school them on the realities of this monetary system under which humanity has been enslaved with all this paper printing. As you know, physical gold and physical silver is very hard to find, and so many of the mining companies have been beaten down in this bear market of the last 5 years. And now we see physical precious metals moving from west to east with the formation of the SGE and the ABX in China. We see admissions from Deutsche Bank that they have been rigging the silver and gold prices over in London. With all of the news I've just mentioned as a backdrop to the reality of the industry in which you work, are you surprised to finally see the industry stage this huge comeback in 2016 with stock prices of many mining companies doubling or more? Did that catch you off guard, or were you expecting it?
Well, I think that we're like an expecting father waiting for 5 years to see the baby being born. So I really feel that we are at the inception of a mining economy specifically, and I think that you referred to the printed currency. That has lost a lot of faith in the world. I really feel that at the moment that there is a pause, there is a slight pause towards the U.S. dollar, and that pause is allowing the oldest currency in the world, which has been gold and silver, and that is now in favor because there is fear.
Yeah.
When there is fear, that's when the gold does best. Silver, we're glad to be in silver because it's got two uses. One, as a precious metal, and second, it does have almost 50% of the produced silver in the world is used for industrial use, and so we are happy that we are in the silver business.
Yeah, well, it's a great time to be in the physical precious metals business for sure. But I got to tell you, having a first row seat here in the United States, watching this, the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury and the government at large try to keep this thing stitched together as Russia and China and other nation states move away from the petrodollar, move away from trading in fiat U.S. dollars. I got to tell you, Joseph, the writing is on the wall, and I want to ask you this. Do you think it's rising global fear of fiat currency and the risks of runaway inflation and potentially hyperinflation that's driving the precious metals and precious metal stocks higher? Is that exactly what's going on now?
I completely agree with you. I think that fear is predominant in the world of being an hyperinflation. But again, though, we must distinguish who can deal best, and I see. And I don't want to jump on some of the points that we'd like to raise. You cannot compare, not even for a second, the economies of the United States with many, especially South American country, which they have they're underdeveloped, and they like. You have no idea the poverty that exists in some of these countries. I've lived there for 23 years,
right?
And I feel that the United States has got a great deal more to build a rebirth. Like, no doubt that they will. Right now is the scary time that people which are careful or are in an age bracket when they don't have the time anymore, that they want to hop out and find safety in investing in precious metal. So, but when we compare Venezuela, which imports everything that they consume, from food to technical things and tools, and they don't manufacture anything but petroleum. Mm-hmm. Petroleum is under pressure. The country simply cannot even distantly be compared with the resilience and what the United States has in place to work with and overcome the hyperinflation.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Venezuela, and it's something we talk about a lot as being a lesson of what could happen should we see a dollar crisis at some point in the future. The people of Venezuela are really going through hell. We see hyperinflation and economic chaos. What is the current economic situation right now where you are in Argentina?
Well, I've been 23 years in Argentina. I always noted Argentina for being natural resources super rich, not just rich. And one of the problems, the history and the discord with Chile, their neighboring Chile, the Argentina always prided to do not to copy the Chilean. So the Chilean merely have developed 3,800 kilometers. Miles. They share, the two countries share 3.8 thousand miles between both of them, and throughout the borderline on Chile, you find hundreds of super mining operations that have made Chile one of the best economy in South America and or anywhere. And Argentina, on their side, now Argentina, I must say that it's the seventh largest country in the world, area coverage. So consequently, whatever the strip on the side they call Chile, Argentina has the seventh largest geology and the same kind that Chile has. So I always put a lot of faith that Argentina has mining resources, natural resources, and they've relied on making wine, growing beef, and dancing the tango. And I think that that was a very good climate for the populist politics, and which has driven Argentina into being a country in disfavor. Mm-hmm. And what I am very delighted to see that the present government have rushed an incredible speed in turning things around. The first 3 months that they've been in office, they have shown that they are pro-economy, they're center-right, and they want to develop, and they are aware of the rich natural resources that they have, and they are about to develop it. They've faced the reality of paying their debts, and have strengthened a great deal the belief in agreements made and signed in Argentina between foreign investors and Argentina. So these are very positive signs that are encouraging me a great deal.
Well, Joseph, let me ask you this. The Chinchilla Silver Project, which you guys discovered in 2012, is a big deal. I want to talk about this. After this part of the conversation, though, I have to ask you about the manipulation of precious metals with Deutsche Bank's admission. We're going to talk about some of that, guys, so stay tuned. First, what's the ticker symbol of Golden Arrow Resources?
GRG.V, Toronto Stock Exchange. And the OTC is GARWF.
Got it.
OTC, GARWF.
Got it. Thank you. And second, what are we talking in terms of silver deposits in the ground with that Chinchilla Silver Project?
Well, I'm very happy to talk about it. Obviously, I don't have the credibility of being a technical person. I'm just a businessman. But all our results are published and available. We became quite astounded. Many companies came in this project and came and went. And our technical people with the experience that we got, they saw what other departing company did not see. And we were fortunate, and we started getting some results. So we started out at the beginning with about 40 million ounces of silver, and we very fast grew with the one drilling campaign, and built it up to 104 million. And after that, the next drilling campaign built it up to 242 million ounces, all inclusive. And right now, obviously, we for a period of time, because of our undertaking with Silver Standard, we have somewhat neglected the expansion. 242 million ounces of silver are enough to keep a company in production for a long time. Mm-hmm. But we know that we got these results from barely 15% of the geology, surface, and targets that we have. So we're extremely bullish that this project will be growing in the future. So what we're doing, where we are at right now is that we have nearly completed a feasibility study of the effect of merging the project of Silver Standard, which is shutting down, and they run out of ore, Perquita, and which they have an infrastructure that if we had to replace it today, it would cost about $350 million to install. Wow. And it would take up close to 7 years to do all the installation that you needed to have in place. So Instead, with the good fortune and the synergy that we have 21 miles away, we have what they need to continue producing with the current infrastructure, and they have what we sorely need. And by combining the two, the result is that they continue with the valuable infrastructure that they have for 8 or 9 years at least. And we find to be in production without spending $1 from our treasury to be in production with them. The synergy is unbelievable. But I believe that your question is more related to will the project grow? Yes, absolutely.
Well, one of the reasons we love to have these conversations, Joseph, is because we all know, my listeners know, that because of the bear market in precious metals prices and in precious metals miners that we've just lived through for the past 5 years, many, many viable mines shut down. Many companies went out of business. Others were acquired. And what you've just described is the difficulty that it takes to have a new startup come online. So any new competitors that might want to jump into the fray here as we see silver prices finally springboard back to where they should be priced in a fair and open market, which is probably north of $100 in my opinion, it's going to take a long, long time for pure silver miners to ever get back online, and you guys have everything you need right now. And to that end, I just want to mention one thing, a little background for listeners or for you, Joseph. There is a WebBot project out there from Cliff High that goes out and it mines the internet for data. And the data mined by the WebBot project suggests that sometime in the future, because of worldwide monetary chaos, we will eventually see silver return to a 10 or 8 to 1 silver to gold ratio, with some of the indicators suggesting it could actually go to a 1 to 1 silver to gold ratio. And I think it speaks to the paper manipulation that we have suffered through for really decades, if not centuries, over at the LBMA and at the COMEX. Right now, the silver to gold ratio is hovering somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 1. And you know as well as anyone, Joseph, that in physical form, as you guys mine the stuff, silver is found in the Earth's crust at much closer to a 10 to 1 ratio. So how do you even explain a 70 to 1 silver to gold ratio?
Your crystal ball is working. That's exactly been my concern. First thing I must make a remark. I feel very, very deeply for the companies that I know what's struggling and surviving 5-6 years and meeting that payroll and staying alive. It's been very, very difficult. And I hope that the most deserving will stay alive and do well. We have had a similar battle, and right now, what you're saying, it's really what dreams are made of. I remember the time when I was much younger, when the ratio between gold and silver was somewhere around 40 to 1, 42 to 1. And then they gravitated all the way up at over 80 to 1 for a period of time. And so I do feel that there is a catch-up for silver to come into a more humane ratio between the two. But it is, of course, the biggest dream that we're going to have a 10 to 1. 10 to 1, it will make the silver price worth about $130 per ounce. I must say that that's a dream that probably won't happen within my lifetime. It may, and I'm not defying that. But for the time being, I think that we'd like to see a return in the next 3, 4, 5 years, so that gets back where a lot of mines had to shut down and they can reopen again. But unfortunately for some, it's too late, and they're liquidating their asset, their projects. Obviously, we have become a little bit of a vulture ourselves. So we owe it to our shareholder to take a look at what a good deal is. So out of the spoils, we are now looking for acquiring or merging ourselves in continuation of what Golden Arrow will be doing. Now, I would like to maybe sidetracking it a little bit, is that there are two stories that we have today, and that will change. The story is will Silver Standard and Pirquita and Chinchilla Golden Arrow merge? If that happens, that would become a great thing for us to have one of our projects to generate a cash flow within a year. Apart from Chinchilla, management is looking for the spoils, and that's what I feel that I'm a little bit of a vulture, but I have to do it for my shareholders and find some deals that we've signed. 7 or 8 confidentiality agreement of company who had the misfortune of not being able to continue, and we're looking very vividly and with anticipation of closing some projects that are very advanced in their exploration program and adding to the value of Golden Arrow.
Well, you definitely have your hands full with opportunities, 242 million ounces in ground at Chinchilla, with possibly much, much more, being that the 242 million figure represents only 15% of the geography. It's an exciting time. That's why we want to have calls like this one, Joseph, because we've seen what happens to mining stocks, just in the first few months of 2016. But if you go back to the last gold bull market, after Nixon taking us off the gold standard, there was generational wealth built by mining stocks. So I wanted to have this conversation with Joe Grosso just to talk about a pure silver play. And Joe, just before we go here, I really want to thank you for your time, and I want to ask you just one last question. For those listening here in the United States who are very concerned about the abuse of the privilege of the fiat printing machine at the Federal Reserve, for those concerned about a day in the future where the dollar may no longer be world reserve currency, if and when that happens, Joe, do you think Americans will know exactly how Venezuelans feel today?
Well, number one, I'm firmly of the belief that it will not happen. I really think so. I think that America has been tried, but you do have what it takes. You have a fully developed economy which has been going for years. The comparison, it's pretty pale in my estimate. The United States is a much better position to recover, and I think that America will come out of it. What I do feel, if I were to turn a little bit critical, is it's serious that it's known that gold and silver have been manipulated, and has been identified who was manipulated, and somehow we just looked the other way, and stringent measures have not been taken. I do hope that this is one lesson that now the regulators have got to be much more aware if there are people which are playing like banks in Europe, and it just upholding that you read in the paper for years that there is manipulation. There is manipulation, and nothing happens to stop it. So this is the price we got to pay now to resolve that manipulation, and I am very hopeful that the mining industry will once again take its place in our economies the way it should be. But no, the dollar is not going to disappear. America is America, and there is a lot of confidence that even $3 trillion that were printed did not scare the world in saying, when I look at all the currencies in the world, where would I have my money? They believe it in a dollar. Now that the dollar has got to save itself, they're making an escape into the precious metal. And let's see the way it goes, but it is a life. It's a changeable life, and I think that we should understand that we are well equipped in the United States to return to our good economy. soon.
Well, Joseph, I really appreciate that perspective. I think it's a unique perspective. I think it's a perspective that can only be brought to the table by someone sitting outside of the United States, looking back at this country and having a reverence and a respect for the country. And all of our listeners love this country as well, and we hope that you're right. Unfortunately, many of us believe that you might be wrong. We think the Federal Reserve has taken things too far and is now the buyer of last resort for bonds issued by the Treasury. It's a real mess here, but I'm really glad you brought up the manipulation, because you're absolutely right. The manipulation by Deutsche Bank and other international criminal banks is now on the record. Deutsche Bank has opened itself up to billions of dollars of lawsuits. The genie can't be put back in the bottle. The SGE and the ABX in China, again, with physical actually moving away from the West and the paper manipulators at the LBMA and the COMEX. This is all a sea change, and it's all good news for those who believe in the precious metals story and look back at history and understand that gold in physical form and silver in physical form is and has always been real money. Final word for you, sir.
I really feel that we got to be grown up enough to know that in order to cure any illness, you need a bitter medicine. The more powerful the medicine, the quicker we return it to normality. In America, I feel I'm confident that we'll know that. They have the intelligence to know that not everything is only up and up and up and up and up. And this is a pause. It's a pause that needs to be dealt with stronger resolves. And I am sure that your country will put up with it and understand that the tough things that are to come is the medicine that is going to resolve the problem.
All right.
You don't take it, you don't resolve it.
All right, then, from your lips to God's ears, I hope you're right. I hope there's a return to liberty. We all do, and I think gold and silver in physical form may play a role in the reset or whatever comes next for the United States and the global economy in general. Silver and gold in physical form is playing a role and will play a role. And guys, you need look no further than the Huey and the GDX year to date. It's proof in the pudding that big money is moving back into mining stocks. Joseph, thank you so much for your time. And can you just shout out the tickers one last time for Golden Arrow Resources Corporation?
GRG.V for the Toronto Exchange. And on over-the-counter is a GARWF, as in Frank.
Excellent. Guys, I just want to leave you with one last thought before we go here, and it's this. I can't imagine gold not going back to $2,000 when priced in U.S. dollars at some point in the fairly near future. And if we saw a silver to gold ratio just return to 20 to 1, when we know they're pulling it out of the ground at 10 to 1, just a 20 to 1 silver to gold ratio with gold at $2,000 means a $100 gold price. I just don't think it's unrealistic. And again, if you want to listen to the WebBot project, check out Jay Snip's channel, look at halfpasthuman.com, read the reports, listen to the interviews with Cliff High. The webbots are saying that at some point in the future, we will hit a 1-to-1 gold ratio. It may be pie in the sky, but guys, as you know, the central banks of the world only have one answer to this crisis, and that's printing. I want to thank you so much for your time. Joseph, thank you for your time as well, sir.
I want to thank you for your time as well for inviting me. Thanks.
Hey, it's my pleasure. And guys, thanks for your support at sgtreport.com and thelibertymill.com. Real news 24/7. Have a great week. God bless.